Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And the feeling that I want you to talk about today is that feeling of being torn. And we've all had it, where you're not quite sure what to do. You've got too much going on, and you know, and you're torn between a rock and a hard place. And I'm pretty certain we've all been there and we all know that feeling. So that's what I want to talk about a little bit today. But before we do, we're going to just talk about some important things. For those of you who know our admin, Jody, just to let you know that she will or will be here, but maybe not all the time. She's waiting for a really important telephone call. Her fur baby uh, Taylor is at the vet with Lionel, and she needs to be able to discuss that. Hi there to Sharon. Good to see you, Sharon. Sharon, you'll be pleased to know that you are on my list for a gift this week. Sharon and Sandy are on my list for gifts this week. So I hope you're looking forward to it. And I know that you said that you didn't mind what I sent. So yeah, this is your opportunity to make a choice before I actually pack it up. And there's Jeannie. Hi, Jeannie. Good to see you. And it's been a really interesting week for a lot of different. What happened to my? Never mind, Sal. Um. Anyway, so before we get on to it, I also wanted to say, Jeannie, perhaps we could get an update. How's Stella doing? For those of you who don't know, Stella is Jeannie is new to her fur baby. And they're still in their first month together. So I just wondered how it's all going. And while we're waiting to hear about that, happy birthday, Doug. For those of you who know my son Doug, it's his birthday today. And I'll be talking a bit more about the dinner we had together in a second. Happy birthday tomorrow um, to Beth on the 30th. Yay! My birthday. And then on the 31st, Katie's. And then for those of you who are longtime viewers, hi there, Jody. For those of you who are longtime viewers, today, of course, is the anniversary of Dear Mama Sal. We started Dear Mama Sal at 10:30 at night on the 25th of August, 2012. It's amazing. Um, okay, so Jeannie is saying that Stella saw the vet recently, got a good report. We're pleased to hear that. And in late October, she has to have her teeth cleaned. So there we go. I'm delighted to hear about that. So if we have missed your birthday, please, and you're a regular viewer, and it doesn't matter whether you join in the chats, if you're a regular viewer in the background, please let us know and we'll add you to the database. If I've missed you, it means that you're not on the database. So Jenny's saying she has her own bed but sleeps every night in my bed. Yeah, and that somehow or other doesn't surprise me one tiny little bit. So I saw a really nice quote from Lynn McLean Brown, and she said this: despite my best intentions, I cannot do everything all at once. When I feel torn and overwhelmed, it's a sign that I have too much on my plate and it's time to postpone, put off, and procrastinate for a while. Do not need to feel guilt and shame for saying that you are at your limit and acting on that feeling. I want to repeat that. You do not need to feel guilt or shame for saying that you're at your limit and you're acting on that feeling. Um, Lynn McLean Brown also said, having limits doesn't make us lazy or unproductive. Despite what our productive, loving world tells us, pushing through our limits is not necessarily the best way to feel good. Next time you feel overwhelmed and torn in a million directions, it's okay to pause and listen to that feeling instead of trying to push past it. How many of you feel almost that you want to exhale just hearing that, like, yeah. And so none of us likes that feeling of not being perfect. None of us likes that feeling of being overwhelmed. And none of us likes that feeling of having to make these major decisions. Jody's saying, happy Dear Mama Sal anniversary, Sal. A million thank yous are hardly adequate to let you know how very much appreciated you are. Well, thank you very much, Jody. You know, it's funny, over the 10 years when I think of, and Sharon's going, what Jody said. Yeah. Okay, and Jody's off to have that telephone call, so we'll hear how Taylor's doing in a second. But I just wanted to say that it's been an incredible 10 years. And for those of you who don't know, it was all because of Benji. Benji came up to visit me on August the 25th, 10 years ago. And while I was busy cooking in the kitchen, he said, you know, we need to make you a YouTuber. And I said, what? Well, yeah, and from the kitchen, I'm going, what's that, honey? And he said, oh, don't worry. And then he was asking me a couple of questions, and I was busy cooking, and I answered them. And then, actually, it must have been after dinner, now that I think about it. I must have been cleaning up after dinner or whatever it was, because it was late at night. And the reason I know it was late at night was because at 10:30, he hit the button and said, okay, now you're a YouTuber. And I said, what's that, honey? He said, you'll find out. And left. And left. You know, it was just like, well, what do I do now? He said, you'll work it out. I want to tell you something. Talk about being torn and being between a rock and a hard place. There's that part of me that's going, I don't know what that is, and I don't know if I want to know. Can you imagine that? And then there was that, well, what do I do now? And then I had to learn how to go live. And then I had to learn how to edit. And then I had to, you know, and it was just like, hello. So I understand about being torn between two places, which was, do I want to do this? Sharon's saying, what a gift Benji gave us. Well, I am certain that I can assure you, I thank him regularly. And, you know, when anything really important happens to any of you, and it's, you know, something that's revolves around what we've done with Dear Mama Sal, I always make sure he knows. I just want to tell you that I got this thank you today, but I would never have got it without you doing what you did. And, you know, you have made a difference in somebody else's life just by doing what you did for me. So it's a very important thing, but it's a little bit humbling when you think how many broadcasts we've done and how many lives we've touched, and hopefully how many lives we will continue to touch. Because I know every August I wonder if I should do another year or not. You know? And it's never about another month. It's always like, I wonder if I should do another year. You know, because it's weird, but so it be. However, I have decided I will, God willing, and we'll see how it goes. So here we go. I wanted to say how grateful I am for those of you who were watching during the fall and winter. You know how many meals we cooked, and I was putting them in those 1-cup containers and putting them in my freezer. I cannot tell you how many great meals I've had, you know, during the summer, where I just don't feel like cooking, and I think, wonder what I got in the freezer, and I go, that's a 1-cup portion, which means it probably is quite tasty. And, you know, I had one last night, and it was a pork dinner, you know, it must have been in mushroom soup, but with, you know, with other things in it, and it was just like so tasty. And I went, oh, I'm so glad I had that. So I'm looking forward to, but I have not emptied my freezers. My freezers are both still absolutely full. And it's about my freezers that I wanted you to smile a bit, because, you know, I use my freezers to do the soaps, and we'll be talking about that in a second. But I use it, you know, because it's a really nice height for me. So I do a lot of my soap work on my freezer, and it's a big one, enough to carry a couple of bodies. And so if you know anybody that needs to be there, let me know. And so anyway, I've got this new thing because I try to tidy up the soap making stuff, at the end of each day. Otherwise, my house just looks like a bomb hits it forever. And one of the things that I know now is that if I've completely cleaned off the top of the freezer, I can open it. And what do I store in there? Chocolate covered popsicles. So this is cool, but you can only have one if you've cleared off the freezer. So it's a nice motivation. So moving on to the soap stories. It's funny when you think about it. For those who've been following this journey, and for those of you who don't know, I'm fairly new. I've only been making soap for a couple of months now, and I'm in what I call the packaging, developing more packaging stuff. And one of the things you will all remember is that I bought these really cute little domes, only to find out that what I wanted them for was, these blooms. And sadly, they are just not big enough. And they are just not big enough by a very small amount. And so I ordered a second lot, and I accidentally bought the same ones again. And so I decided not to beat up on myself. I decided I'd find a use for them. And what I've been doing is putting, this is ready for Christmas time, but I've been putting little soaps in instead. Now, these are 2 little shampoo soaps. Normally, as some of you know, my shampoo bar comes like this. And it's a shampoo and body bar. But I decided I'd make a couple small ones. I don't know why. And my question would be, which one would you be more likely to buy, the big one or a couple of small ones? And that is the question. Or which would you be more likely to gift? This one or this? Let me know. So I went back to the ordering and got something that I knew would be bigger, but it was too big. The next one I got was this big. And I'm going, well, that's big enough. Oh, Jeannie had received her soaps, and Jeannie's saying the soaps were packaged beautifully and carefully. Yeah, actually, one of the funny things is I'm warning people, if you get a gift from me, know it will be wrapped extremely well. I don't want the soap to bounce around inside, and I don't want it to get wet, obviously. So there's a lot of tape that goes, a lot of packaging and a lot of tape. But you know something? It gives me great pleasure. Sharon's saying, I think if it's the first time user, they likely go for the smaller bars. That's funny you should say that, because, it was like, this was Seabreeze number 5. I love this one. Don't know why I love this one so much, but anyway, but this is a half of it, right? That size. But to me, it's like, would I buy this much? When you think you've got to pay, like $12 just for the shipping, it's just like, yeah. So then what I thought was, remember what I said, always take everything that happens as it's not a coincidence. So I went, why did I get these? And I went, maybe what I meant to do, okay, is put a little package together. What do you think? So that you've got one of the blooms, and that is a sea breeze, and then also just a hands, I guess so. Yeah, I love that too. However, Sharon, what I realized is I don't have any boxes into which I could put this. So that's my next thing, is to find the right box for shipping. And then what I will do is I will, make sure I stuff the inside of this so that yeah, I think that looks appealing as well. So especially, for Christmas presents. And the question is, how much should I sell it for? Normally that sells for 8, and that sells for 8, and this sells for 5. So $20 would be fair, do you think? Anyway, so that's what I decided. And I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't accidentally got the wrong size yet again. And then I thought, but wait, there's another use for it. Isn't that perfect for my Christmas villages? So I thought that was really cute. So again, just remember, there are no coincidences. And even if it looks like it's wrong, maybe it's right for something that you hadn't thought of. So I've been very busy. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, oh, that's absolutely perfect for the village. Yep. Because not everybody can afford to buy a big set. So Jody, you got to see this. Jody, I got a new dome. But the dome is too big now. So then I went, there are no coincidences. So here we go, Jody. It's perfect for a little soap grouping. But also, all right, so now, there we go. And that, I was hoping that Jody would let us know what's going on. So let's wait and see. How's Taylor doing? we will hear just a second. So again, I still don't have the right one for this, unless I only put these in with the combination ones. So this one's still a bit wet. It's got to dry off for a few days. And then, as I think you know, for those of you who have inspired me to make a particular soap, I'm naming them after you. So this one is the Ciora soap. All right, the dragonfly one will be named the Ciora soap, because she inspired me to. It's no good. To do that. But this one here is the Jody log. And the reason it's the Jody log is one thing Jody always talked about. Yeah, let me just talk about that in a second, Sharon. Okay, so here we go, Jody. This log has got your name up to it because it's a work in progress. I just want to cut it in half. And there you go, Jody. It's your polka dot. Just a single one, but it's a polka dot. So does that make a cute little bar of soap? And again, yes, it fits in there beautifully. All right, so Jody's saying about Taylor, he's okay. It seems like he has a bug, being treated with some anti-nausea meds and special blend food for a few days. The yipping is from his kneecap, which popped out of place. Oh, that sounds so sore. Okay, so Jody, there we go. Isn't that cute? So I'm very happy with it. Obviously, it's got to be cleaned up a bit, but we like that. So that's the Jody bar. Very happy. And I'm just thinking about Jody's saying, thank you, sir. I'm honored. Well, it's like, you all give me ideas and the ideas are good ones. And so, it's just like, oh, let me try that. Jody says it's adorable. And I'm speechless. Speechless doesn't happen to me very often. Well, my attitude is, um, we know that Lionel got some, but my attitude was, obviously you will be getting a different batch eventually. So my question is, have you guys used any of the soaps that you got? Because what I'm going to be doing is when we actually get the website, I'm not quite sure why the store hasn't opened up yet. I'm not quite sure what my web guy is up to. I'm going to have to talk to him again. I keep sending him a note, but I'm not getting very far. So he must be having stuff going on his end. Um, but what I wanted to say is that it's be really nice if those of you who've had soap and tried it, and to let me know. I just got some feedback from Dougie's mum, actually, and she said what they really liked was the lather on it. You need to just rub it for a little while for the lather to start, the water to penetrate it. But boy, once that lather starts, it's really beautiful lather. So that's good. Sharon was saying, and it was a really good idea. Hold on one second. And I'm going to try and explain this to you. If you can imagine that the bottom of this has a bar of soap in it, right, molded, and then what you do is you actually push one of these nylon puffs into the soap and let it dry. All right. All right. And then when you take it out, you would then have a soap, and thing all in one. Um, I'm going to read that for a second. I just want to see what. Good. All right. So, anyway, good idea. And funny enough, this would actually make a great mold. I don't know what would happen when you pour hot soap into it, but I guess I'm going to find out. And then I could push one of these in. And funny enough, I have a couple spare from gifting before. So I will do that. My concern is, Sharon, my thought was it would be really heavy. And I personally, I think, yeah, actually, if you really pressed it in hard and got the soap up into it, really into it. Yeah, I'll do that. I tell you what, Sharon, this is the Sharon soap. It'll be my experiment. My next experiment will be, does this work? And Sharon, should I do it with shea butter and oatmeal or just straight shea butter? What would you like? I know, by the way, Sharon's going to be making her own. But it's going to have your name attached to it. Jeannie's saying, I've been enjoying looking at the soaps. I will try one soon. Yes, and I do realize, and that's the thing that Jody said as well, that, Lionel, amongst his, got one of the sea breeze. And Jody said he's going to try his, but not the sea breeze. So the thing is this, Jody, if you had another sea breeze, could he use the sea breeze? You know what I mean? It's just like, and again, hang on. I have, yeah, as I think we made two different versions. One has the shells on top, the sand and the shells on top, and one has the foam on top. So it's really quite exciting. Now, okay, so what is that? Sharon saying with the oatmeal. Yeah, I think so too. All right, so I will do one. All right, I will do one. It won't be up to your standard, of course, Sharon, but I will do my version of it. And is there a fragrance that you particularly like? Because this is going to be your bar. So we need to make sure that it has all the right ingredients for you. Now, Sharon, to pour the soap through the middle. Okay, that makes sense. And it would have to be a soap that doesn't solidify very quickly, all right, to give it time to permeate all the way through before it solidifies. It's almost worth it being a little bit, have a little bit of extra water in it to make sure that that happens. Sea fragrance. I really recommend, you can't smell it, but I really recommend the Island Coconut at the moment. It is such a nice fragrance. It's sort of like, you can almost feel, the coconut fronds. Yeah, I think so. All right, so Jody, could you make a note, please? The Sharon bar should have Island Coconut, and we're going to test it in one of these. And then we know this is the perfect container to send it. Well, we'd have to have a box around it, but it will all fit inside there. Is there such a thing as salted caramel fragrance? I'm sure there is. I'll have a look. So if you put that in the notes, I'll have a look this week. Okay, so you're all happy with that, and you've seen the log. Now, the good news is I got to give Doug his soap. Because we had our birthday dinner, and we go to a place called the Keg, which makes the most unbelievable steaks. And I did have surf and turf. No, I got pictures for you. I took pictures. And I think if I'd said turf and surf, they would have known what I meant. But I did do it the right way. And let me just get the pictures for you. And then I will tell you the story about Doug. So this is what my meal looked like. Can you see that? It was a small steak, beautiful steak, by the way. And I had choices. I was torn between twice baked potato or fries. Well, it's my birthday, so I'm having fries. And then a small lobster tail. All right. And Pat, I got to tell you, minutes later, this is what was left. I inhaled it. And you can probably see there's Doug's plate. He inhaled a chicken version of that. He didn't have the seafood. But it was an awesome meal. And, it is so funny because when we get together, it just is really interesting. Now, I was torn talking to Doug between telling him the truth about a couple of things or not. And I wonder if any of you know what I mean. And part of it was, I didn't want to feel guilty because he did so much for me when I had my mastectomy. But on the other hand, I have seen little to nothing of him since. And I saw him at Easter time. And then I saw him about a couple of weeks ago because his mother was in town from Kenya. All right. But if his mother hadn't been there, I don't think I would have seen him. So I really was torn whether to tell him the truth. And I decided I was going to. And I said, you know something, Dougie? I am honored that you are my son, that your mother loans you out to me. But I said, I really am not seeing enough of you. And I need to see more of you. And I don't know, you know, how many times we will get to see each other again. We never know. And all I know is I miss these chats that we have together. I miss these chats because they make me feel whole, and I'm very selfish. But I get to see you and I get to hear about what's going on in your life, and I get to see things and hear things that I don't hear on a telephone call. And I took a big risk because I didn't want to offend him, and I told him that. But I did want him to know I needed to see more of him. But, I was torn because I'm always aware of how busy he is and all the rest of it. And I said, I don't want it to happen. Um, I don't want it to happen that one day I'm not here and you regret that we didn't have more time together. Or that you're not there. And I will regret not insisting on more time. And Sharon is saying, I hope the talk works for you all. It hasn't worked with my grandson. Well, again, like everything else in life, Sharon, it takes two to tango, right? So he must want to do it as much as I need him to do it. And I said, the difficulty is I haven't had this conversation because I didn't want to guilt you. But I want you to think about it. And the reason I want you to think about it is in this meal, the time that it's taken us to eat this meal, you have helped me solve 3 different problems that I really wouldn't have addressed on the telephone because I don't hear too well. And therefore, I hear that you love me and I hear that you care enough to phone me, but, I don't get into anything very deep because I can't hear very well. But when I'm sitting opposite you and I can lip read, I can talk about so many more things. And it was really interesting because apparently his mom had had much the same conversation with him. And so his thing was, I found this interesting. He said, tell me the top 3 things you would like from me in the next year. Yeah. And I thought that was interesting. And it's very much like a man, right? Don't ask me to be clairvoyant. Tell me. Don't give me 300 things to do. Tell me the top 3 for you. And I said, okay, I can do that. But when I'd finished, I said, now I need your top 3. And I was just amazed at, it's funny. It always amazes me from both Benji and from Doug. The one thing they all want from me, because they don't get it from other people, is my honesty. Isn't that interesting? It comes up number 1 for both of them. I mean, if I really think they're being an idiot, I will tell them that. But it's just my opinion. But that's what Doug said. His number 1 thing was, please, would you continue to be as honest as you always have been? Because not many people would have the guts to have the conversation you've just had with me. And I hear you and I can feel how honest that is and how difficult it was for you to talk about it. And I said, yep, very. because I run the risk of you thinking I don't appreciate you or that I demand too much from you. And I said, a year ago we had this discussion and you agreed to see me once a season. And you've got to be quite honest with yourself when you know that even that was a stretch for you. It was a stretch for him to see me once a season. That's 4 times a year. So I said, but I want your input on this. And he said, I love it when we get together. I really do, Mom. I love it when we get together. It's always interesting. I always feel energized. I always feel so much more creative and da da da. I said, okay, so let's do this more often. Let's have a meal together more often. It doesn't have to be a day or whatever. Let's have a meal together. And so that's what we're going to do. But I also was given some pretty good instruction, which is I need to make sure that I make sure he has that in his day timer. All right, because that's the way he does it. So honoring somebody else's process is really important. And he said, I'd really like it if it was something consistent. So I always knew about it. So I said, give me an example. He said, like the second Tuesday of every month. I said, okay, we can do that. So, we're going to have a lot of good meals and a lot of good conversation. And I'm really happy that even though I was so torn, I don't know if you can feel how scared I was to have that conversation, but I'm really glad that I did. The other thing was he heard about the problem that I had with my Wi-Fi repeater going through my house. And he said, Mom, I can fix that for you in a heartbeat. And I said, what? And he said, I'm going to change your provider. Listen to what he said. I'm going to change your provider to my provider because I'm going to put you on my account. And I'm going to put 3 different repeaters in your house. One for the kitchen, one for the craft area, and one for your bedroom area. So you will never, ever have to worry about whether you've got Wi-Fi for your emergency thing. I said, that's so kind of you. Thank you, honey. He said, no, don't worry about it. And because it's on my account, I will pay for it. I didn't expect that one. So, with tears in my eyes, happy birthday, Sal. But will I need to follow that up so that he knows? It will be point number 4 because it wasn't on my list of 3. It was something he heard and wanted to do. So I will put that on as an extra. And by the way, you also mentioned this, but I'm not having it on my list. But isn't that interesting that when asked what are the top 3 things I can give you this year, honesty was a number 1 thing. And keep being who you are was another one. And I thought, it's really, really interesting. But we had a server that shouldn't have been dealing with people. This server, and this is a good restaurant. This server really didn't ever look us in the eye. Whenever he was taking anything, he was looking around like, yeah, right. He was distant almost. And I said to Doug, I've never had a server do that in this restaurant. They've always been so incredibly present and make you feel that you are their favorite customer today. And this guy certainly didn't. So really nice. But here's the good news. I get another dinner on Saturday with Yvonne and Wade. And there is nothing to be torn about there in that meal because I know exactly what I'm having. With Dougie, I get to have the surf and turf. And with Yvonne and Wade, I get my annual poutine with bells on. And probably seconds of poutine. Because the amount they give you is not necessarily that much. And I said to Doug, I'm so looking forward to it because I still haven't had poutine. If you remember when I came out of the operation, when they asked me what did I need, i.e., did I need more drugs or whatever, I said I needed a macchiato, caramel macchiato, and they said, no, we don't do that here. What else do you need? I said, oh, poutine. Yep. Anyway, I still haven't had it, and that was in November. So how much do you think I'm going to enjoy my poutine? And, we're going to a restaurant where, poutine is really a side dish. And I don't mind. And then when I was with Dougie, um, I had dessert. He didn't, of course, because he's a clever guy. And I did take a picture of dessert. It was so cute. It was like an individual lemon meringue pie. Isn't that cute? And that was a no-brainer. And I was thinking, what a nice, I don't know, that somehow looks so much more delicate than a slice. I loved it. It was so cute. I was thinking I'm going to do that. Wouldn't they fit well in one of those domes? Yeah. Anyway, so Sharon said, you're making me hungry. I assure you, I was pretty hungry too. So I do not have the right answer yet for the blooms. So if any of you are searching the internet, I thought maybe between us all we could find the right one. I'm looking for a dome that is about 3 inches. You see, 3 inches is 3 inches is to there, right? Which should give it an internal measurement of that. It could be 2.5 inches would do it actually. So we will find it, people, because I want to find it. Oh, and this one. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, and Jeannie's here, she'll let me know. This one, the fragrance in this one is patchouli. And I don't know how to describe that. It's sort of a variation of jasmine, I think. But patchouli, it's really nice. Like it. Now, you can probably understand that I spend a lot of time playing with different soaps and doing different experiments, which is where I have my fun. But I've noticed that I spend a lot of time creating colors. I don't buy pre-made color blocks. I actually make my own colors. And I'm getting a collection of I don't have too many here, but anyway, I'm making little squares of color. They must be in the back room. Okay. So Sharon is saying there is such a thing as salted fragrance oils. Okay, and so the question is, would we have a little bit of Himalaya sea salt on the top, do you think? Who asked for that? Jody? So I'm thinking a little bit of pink Himalaya sea salt on it. Okay, Jody. So it's another Jody bar. This is the Jody coffee bar. Coffee bar. It's the coffee bar. Jody's coffee bar. Yep. Okay. So there we go. That's done now. Oh, and I wanted to tell you. You remember I made him this soap. And I gave him you know, a new insert for his air fryer. But then I gave him his soap. And I want to tell you something. Actually, I need to leave it in there because this is the soap and this is what he saw. And he just looked at it and he went, "Where did you find this?" And I said, "No, honey, I made it." Okay. And he took it. I said, "Take it out and have a look at it." And he took it out and he just was mesmerized. And then I wish you could have seen him because he said, "I know what I'm going to do." And I said, "What's that, honey?" And he said, I'm going to get a special basket and put, you know, white face cloths in it and then the bar of soap on it. So I said, "You're not going to use it?" "No." Interesting, right? So apparently I'm in the business of making decoration soap. And then I said to him, "Would you like some little ones?" So he said, "What?" I said, "Would you like some little ones for your powder room? Because you have a lot of guests from Africa." So he said, "Yeah." And I said, "And then, you know, you could, yeah, I'll make you a couple of extras and you can have them to give away." And he was absolutely excited. I was quite surprised. I said, "Please don't say yes just to be polite. It's way too much work for you to be polite." But, you know, I could just see people going, "Oh, Dad, that's so good. That's so awesome." And going, "Would you like one?" Yeah, there's one. So that is it. Jeannie's asking, was it a steak and seafood restaurant? Yep, it was. It was a very good one, if you know what I mean. It's called the Keg, and here in Canada, it's pretty well known. It's a bit like Ruth Crisps, is it Ruth? Yeah, that one. Anyway, so really nice. So my main concern is cost of packaging is really a concern for me. And again, I'd like your input on this. Would you rather pay more for a soap and have free shipping, or know that this is the cost of the soap and quite honestly, this is the cost of shipping, and I'm not making a profit on it? In fact, what I decided to do was to go a center point for the shipping so that, you know, it's just one price, whether you buy one bar or 5. Yeah, Jody's saying I've heard wonderful things about the Keg and Ruth Chris Steakhouse. Yeah, so it's a, I would say it's probably a step down from Ruth Chris, but that sort of idea. Right, now what else do I have to show you today? That's what I'm trying to think of. Oh, I know. Yeah, I've been trying to find the right way to package the dragonfly, but I'm thinking this looks really cute. What do you think? Patchouli is how I said it. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to hear that I said it correctly. So I'm thinking that probably, and you know, I'd have a bit more packaging on top if it had to go in the mail. Yeah. So this one's got a new fragrance called Ginger Lemon. I want to tell you, more lemon than ginger. It's really nice, very fragrant. So these are going to be renamed the sure about because she gave me that idea. All right, so there we go. What do you think about the free shipping, or is it better to have? Is it better to have the price of the soap and then here's the shipping cost? It's always horrible that you have to charge so much for shipping, but that's what it costs. So there you go. Mm. Now, if I'm lucky, it costs less, and that's the thing that I'm thinking about. Um, it depends. What I tried to do was to take the three different prices. Do you know it's more expensive for me to send a bar of soap to Pat in Eastern Canada than it is for me to send soap to Tasmania? Nearly twice the price. Isn't that scary? So you think, Sal, well, it doesn't cost much in Canada. Funny enough, it's cheaper for me to send to the States and to Australia than it is to send to places in Canada. Yeah, so, that's what I'm dealing with. And by the way, at the moment, I'm charging shipping as extra. But psychologically, I wonder whether free shipping is what people want to hear. And so that's what my next decision is. By the way, my big learning this week was I decided to integrate into I'm working with the website and the back end of it. And I wanted to integrate what they call a CRM, a customer relations management tool, into the website so that automatically when you fill in an order, it would then fill in your own personal ID sheet, and that I would know, what you've had in the past and so forth. And so that I cannot tell you how much learning that has been for me. And, it's not something you can spend 5 minutes at. You've got to really focus. And that's why I'm doing it this week. And, Jody kept saying, you're putting so much time into this. And I say, I have to do it this week. Why? I have got 3 more days before I take the next drug. And again, for those of you who don't know, because I've had a mastectomy, the type of cancer that I had feeds off estrogen. And after I had that in February, they put me on a drug to kill the estrogen in my body. Unfortunately, it also killed about 50% of my energy. And it also my brain went into a brain fog that I cannot describe. Jody knows the brain fog very well. And so the biggest thing that I noticed when I stopped taking it is, boy, my creativity was back. Boy, I could actually stand up for, 3 hours without having to sit down because I was so tired after half an hour. All those sort of things. And I definitely was more creative. And so can you understand, I'm a little bit torn right now because I've enjoyed this month without the drug. And I've really enjoyed it. Jeannie, tell me more about that. You're saying you feel that way about the rosemary honey soap with the bees on it? That you don't want to use it, or? Hang on, let me see if I got one here so I can show people. Judy has one of these that she asked for. And this one is the rosemary honey. I think that is the one you had, right? Okay, so it has beeswax and rosemary and shea butter, I think. So what is it that you feel? Just so that I understand. And I was really, really happy to find that graphic with the bees on it because I thought that's perfect, right? Jodie's talking about the brain fog, and she said the brain fog is debilitating. There are days I don't engage in much conversation because the brain fog. It's because I literally can't think in a linear fashion on those days. So you understand why, therefore, that I have put so much effort and time into being creative and doing everything I can that requires a lot of brain work so that I am set up. Mm. And for those of you who have the sea breeze, do I have a wrapped one? The sea breeze one has a wrapper, but it's my original art. All right, it's a picture taken of a piece of artwork. So, and I was thinking I actually would like to do that for more of them. And then for the lavender one, I found this, and I thought that was really pretty for the lavender one. And luckily, I found the lavender ribbon to go with it. So I'm very happy with that packaging. And I found out that even though I have shrink wrapped the soaps because I didn't want, I wanted them to stay hygienic. I didn't want people touching them and then somebody else buying it, because you never know. So you can't actually smell the lavender here. So what I'm doing, I'm repackaging this one, is that for the ones that I'm keeping and not shipping, I'm actually putting some of that fragrance oil on the packaging. So when people smell it, they won't actually be smelling the soap, they'll be smelling the packaging, but that's what's inside. And I'm allergic to some of these. That's so exciting. Hold on. Wait. What have I done with it? So I've got, I've been busy drying. Thank you, Sharon, for blessing me. I've been busy drying herbs. So I've got mint and lemon balm, and I've got some rosemary that I've been drying out. So I'm ready to do another batch of rosemary lavender, because people seem to do that. And it's going to be interesting to see, what happens when we actually get as far as launching the shop. At the moment, I'm still getting views to the shop because people are sending people there, and I thank you for that. But what I will do is, hopefully, when we get it all going, then I will ask some of you, if you wouldn't mind, to leave a comment, let people know how you felt about the soap. All right. Now, if you are honest and say there is no way I'm opening that bar of soap because it looks so pretty, I think that has its own magic to it as well. All right. And I know that I gave Doug one of the sea breeze, and I said, that's for your guest bathroom. And he said, oh, that's perfect. I'm going to do another, And you could see he was all ready to buy the little basket and put the face towels in it, the face cloths in it, and the soap. So then what I said to him was, I can tell you're not going to be opening these soaps. So that is why I came up with, I'm going to take some of the sea breezes and just cut them in half. so that people will use them. All right, and just package them for people to use them. So I got to ask Jody, if you had one this size, would you use it, or would you let Lionel use it? Just so I know what to send, because I'm thinking, they go quite well together. Will they go in a box? That's the question. I know one will. Will one of these go in the box? Oh, look at that. One or two of those go in the box. Oh, if I cut a slither off the bottom, I can fit two Jody logs into there. Or a Jody log and... Again, I'd have to cut just a slither more off it. Okay? And I can get both in. Okay, that's good to know. All right, so it's all part of the learning. All right, so Jeannie's saying, I want to keep my soap to look at it. I think that's wonderful, right? And, to me, that is also really important. And Jody, part of my joy was trying to get the right color for the dot, but it may be a tad bluer than the sea glass that I was trying to get to, but I gave it some thought. Yeah, Sharon's saying, I like the idea of a sampler pack of the cut soaps. Yeah, I think so too. So I will be putting that together, and that's how you learn. All right, it's going to be interesting to see. And what I'm interested in from all the soaps, my soaps are now, it hasn't got the Jody bar on it yet, but I've now got this many soaps on the website. And my question is, which one do you think gets the most views? And to me, it was quite interesting. Mind you, the elephant's only just gone up. But it was interesting to me that the one that most people seem to look at is this one. So that's going to be interesting to see if that stays like that when the shop actually is up and running. Jody's saying, I love it. Just the idea that went through the trouble to create it is so endearing. Well, yeah, Jody, it's like, to me, it's very personal, very personal. That's why I wanted this customer relation management tool to be integrated into the website, because I want to know forever that Manon cannot take aloe vera. Why? Because a lot of my sea breezes have aloe vera. I want you to be able to go, and pick a soap and choose your fragrance. I mean, that is my wish, is that you go, oh, I love the idea. Now, that no two sea breezes are going to be the same, but you got the rough idea of what they look like. But I'd like you to be able to decide, do I like the foam better on the top, or do I like, do I like seashells better on top? It's a very personal thing, right? And so to me, that's a choice people need to make. And what I'm going to be doing is, continuing to do that. I found a way of packaging it now so that I can do a personal note to everybody. Jeannie's saying, you're dressed for hot weather. Today is a fall day at the 60s. I want to tell you, we have had, that was actually a topic I was going to discuss in a second, but seeing as you brought it up, Jeannie, we have had about 3 days where my air conditioner has not kicked in. So, yep, I understand that. It's been wonderful. However, I cannot go outside today because the air quality is so bad that I've had a warning come in to, for those of my age and vulnerable, not to go outside because the air quality is so bad with the smoke from the fires, even though we've had rain. It's amazing how much smoke is here. And so, I'm eating antihistamines rather heavily. However, what I wanted to say, Jeannie, is we are expecting it to go to 93. Oh, Sharon's saying it's at 97 where she is, right? We're expecting 93 by Sunday. It's warming up today and again tomorrow. And then Sunday, it's going to be about 93. And then we are dropping back down again. Jody's saying, I needed to throw a light blanket on last night. I was thinking, this is August. I want to tell you something. I don't know if you've ever heard of a town called Prince George in British Columbia. But I was doing an event there in August, Jody. And when I got up in the morning, I had to chip the ice off my windshield. In August, I'm going, this is not the place for me to live. Ice on the windshield. Okay, so I'm hearing a lot that you like these smaller sizes. Okay, because it fits in the hand nicely. So I'm going to do some more of that. All right, so that's good to know. See, and the same thing is I've been using my little snowflake in my bathroom for since I made them, and I want you to see how long did it last. I'm surprised how long it's been lasting. Yeah, so there we go. Now then, I want to talk a bit about Sharon saying I need to cut grass desperately. No, you don't, really. That's the only thing. Once it starts to cool down, the grass starts to grow again. Okay, so now then, what am I about to tell you? Oh, they had a special on apple pie at my store last week, so I bought one. And I've been allowing myself one apple pie slice a night, and I really have been good. I've only had one, as well as my chocolate-covered popsicle, I might add. And I've been keeping tabs. I've been taking my blood sugar more regularly just to make sure. And apparently I'm doing very well. It's still, I'm still where I meant to be. And so that is what I call really exciting, that I have managed to adjust the other things I eat in such a way that I can eat an apple pie. And by the way, I took it yesterday after the big meal on Monday, and then the apple pie that I've been having as well. So that's it. Jeannie's saying, I intend to use the sea breeze bar and look at the rosemary honey with the 2 bees on it. Okay. But it's funny, I didn't expect that to be such a big hit. So this one's got 1 bee on it, I think. This one's just got 1 bee. Different ones have different numbers of bees. So isn't that interesting? I love it when people tell me these things. I find it fascinating. So I'm going to be busy. So then I'm thinking, this is this island coconut thing. So this is the spa bar. So I'm thinking of cutting these in half as well. Now, I got a fancy beveling tool. I don't know if you can see, but can you see how the corners are beveled? And yeah, Jeannie's saying the dragonfly soap is ornate and unusual. Yeah, it's like the elephants. It's just like these things are pretty darn unusual. Yeah, so this actually is 3 ounces, 3.5 ounces, just about like this. So to cut it in half, it's still a nice bar of soap. And still pretty, right? Okay, so we'll be cutting those in half. How's the pacemaker going? Oh, I accidentally did something really stupid there. And Kimmy, how's the pacemaker situation going? While we're hearing that from Kimmy, I want to tell you, I accidentally set off my alarm. You know, I've got one of these necklaces that if I press it twice, it will call the paramedics out for me. Um, Here's what happened. I somehow or other accidentally set it off. I don't know whether I pocket dialed it because it sits on my phone as well, just so you can see what it looks like. Okay. Right, so it sits on my phone like this, right? And that means I can call for medical alert, police. I can tell them I've been in a car accident or that I've got a fire. And I don't have to pick up a phone, I just press a button. Well, I must have pocket dialed because luckily my watch told me first, and I was doing something enough that I could feel that it had notified me that there was a call, right? And I went for the phone, and by then my phone was ringing. And, did I mean to set up? No, I didn't. But it's a bit scary when you set it off, I want to tell you. And what if I hadn't noticed it and I couldn't hear my phone? I would have had, the paramedics on my doorstep, and that would have cost me quite a bit of money. But that is the whole reason that you have it. All right. And the whole thing is that if you've fallen and you don't, how many of you, and this is the problem that I have, and I want to talk to them. Somebody's got to find a different code. Like you can hit it 3 times to say, I have fallen, but but it's not an emergency type. I need help, but not an emergency. Because how many of you carry your phone with you the whole time? Like all the time that your phone is within reach. I think men are inclined to do it more than women, but I don't carry my phone with me the whole time. It sits by my computer most of the day. What about you guys? So if I fall in the bedroom, I can't get to the phone. All right? If I've hurt myself, I can't get to the phone. So that's an interesting thing. And also, how do I tell them I'm actually not in the bedroom? I'm in the back garden or something. So I don't want to find out, actually. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this as well is my sister has been having some issues. And what I just want you all to know about, when we've had all this dry weather and suddenly we start to get this rain coming in, you're likely to get big sinus headaches and things, all right? Because of the barometric pressure. The pressure drops, when rain's coming in, the pressure of the air drops. And that causes headaches and stuff. So if any of you have been feeling that recently, that's the reason. You'll feel it definitely more, I think, in the fall equinox, when we get to this time. Yeah. Sharon's saying some people get aggravated with me because my phone is not glued to my hand. I agree with you, Sharon. And I don't know about you, but that pisses me off. It's like, hello? Or, but I phoned you and I sent you 2 messages. Well, yeah. Well, I haven't been back to see my phone for a while. And in fact, I've got to give her credit. Ciora came to visit me this week during her lunchtime one day. Why? Because she'd sent me a message that I hadn't answered because I hadn't seen it. And she was scared something had happened to me. Wasn't that nice of her? Yeah, so Kimmy's saying, I'm sick with sinus and flu right now. Yeah, and that's what I just wanted to warn you about. It's very likely because of the change of the season. So just be aware of that. All right, everybody. So I think that's about all I've got for today. But do you agree with me that this feeling torn, the main thing is to make a decision, which way you want to go. And if it's feeling torn because you're overwhelmed, stop. Stop everything. And like Doug said, don't try and do 55 things. Pick the top three and just procrastinate about the rest of them. They'll still be there, afterwards. I have got stuff that's still on my to-do list from a year ago. I have got so many entries in my to-do list, it would make you cry. And the reason is because I keep thinking of other things I need to do. And I keep putting them in there. And quite honestly, that is called instant insanity. And what I want you to understand is, yes, I'd like to be able to do it all, but unless I buy somebody to help me, it's not going to happen. And that's what I said to Doug. I knew that I needed help that you can no longer give me because you're too busy, in which case I had to buy it. Okay? And I'm glad that I did because it is helping me clear out my shed. And in fact, Ciora was here today as opposed to Thursday when she normally comes because it was a good day weather-wise. And she has got far enough that she wanted to pull a lot of things out of the shed and then repack them in there. This time, putting the woodworking stuff with the other woodworking stuff. And, I haven't been in to see what she did, but I will do after the broadcast is finished. And I'm certain she was on a mission. She wanted to do that so badly. We got it clear enough that she could do it. And so I'm pretty sure it's going to be interesting to look at. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. I will see you on Sunday. And as I said, Jody, you were not here, I don't think, when I said that. But, I'm amazed how many of those freezer-banked meals that we cooked in the fall and winter I have been using this week, this month, funny enough, where it's been too hot to cook. And I go, oh, maybe I've got, yeah. And not only do I have choices, they're marked pork, chicken, turkey, whatever, and it's just a 1 cup meal, and it's perfect. And so I'm really, really glad to have that, and it's made my life very, very simple. So wish me luck. Today is the 25th, 26th, 27th. I guess Monday is the 28th, right? Do I really want to know? Yes, I do. Yeah, Monday's the 28th. That's the day I start taking the pills again. So, fingers crossed for Monday that they don't hit me as hard. Yeah, Jody's saying, and you've been super busy, so it's great to have those fully cooked meals on hand. What I love about them, Jody, is the fact that they are so simple but so tasty. We made some really tasty stuff, and I had some pork last night with mushrooms and zucchini and carrot, and it was just so tasty. And I'm going, boy, I wonder if I got another one of those. I don't know what I threw in that version, but it was really, really good. So this is Dear Mama Sal saying, just remember, sorry, Jeannie, what do you plug in every night to recharge? All right, so Kimmy, when is your eye surgery, honey? I just want to get the answer to both those questions. The main thing is we all have these moments when we're torn between doing too much and not doing enough. And we all have these moments of total overwhelm. All right, so Jeannie's saying it's her phone that she puts on charge. I have mine constantly on charge. That's where they live, Jeannie. Or you're talking about your cell phone. Jody's saying I sleep with my phone is in my hand connected to a charger. Yeah. Yeah, I must admit my phone is on my bed with me. I know that's considered dangerous because of fire possibilities, but I actually have it in a plastic shoebox, but literally next to my head. Yeah, my glasses are in it and the phone. So let's get both those dates in if we can, Jody, that we've got September 6th is for the one eye. And then the second one is in October. Boy, is that cataract surgery? What is that for? Ginny's saying she's getting her annual shot in early. I must admit that my pharmacy is pretty good. Whenever they see me, they just say, "Hang on a second, Sal. You are due for," they know I'm vulnerable, and they now, whenever I go in for to renew my prescription, they stop me and go, "Hold on a second, let's just check. Yep, you're due for another booster, or you're due for whatever." And they give it to me right there and then. I mean, I don't make an appointment. They just give it to me. I go, "Okay, fine. Whatever." I'm very grateful that we have the system that we have here in Canada, I must say. It's enlightening, to say the least. All right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you on Sunday. And please be careful. We overload ourselves and we end up being so incredibly stressed. One of the things they say, if you're torn between two things, flip a coin. The reason is not because the coin will give you the right answer. The reason is because when you flip a coin, in that moment that it's spinning, your mind will tell you which one you really want it to land on. It's amazing. It just, if you don't believe me, try it. And as you flip the coin, you'll go, "I hope it comes heads." And so therefore there's your decision. You already know what you want, really want. This is DearMamaSal saying life is full of very difficult decisions to be made. They don't all have to be made today. One of the things I discussed with Dougie, and one of the things I intend to follow up, is that whole business about what's been happening to me here. And I have decided to take it to my lawyer, and I have decided to get his opinion and to follow it through. Because there is no way I want to get caught up trying to sell a property with 1.5 driveways. That is insane. And I still believe that what they have done to me is totally wrong. Even if I hadn't been sick, even if I hadn't had the fire, it was totally wrong. But the fact that they did it after a fire, and then again, when I had cancer, this is like really not good. So, but I'm a little scared, and I'm certain you all understand that. But the thing that Dougie said to me was, "Sal, don't even worry about what they can do. The court will have your interests at primary, not theirs. And everything that happened to you is pretty obvious that you are victimized, and they need to, be brought to account on that one." This is DearMamaSal saying, see you Sunday. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Jody, for being here, even though you had all the issues going on with Tay. I think that speaks volumes to who, how much you love Dear Mama Sal and how much you support everybody. Jeannie, thanks for being here to back Jody up, and to all of you who have participated, thank you. And for those of you listening in the background or watching on the replay, I'm hoping you will remember that being torn is part of our life, and we just need to make a decision and move on. We don't have to do it all today. Make a decision to put it off, make a decision to do it now, or make a decision to wait it out. It doesn't matter. Life is too short. This is Dear Mama Sal saying bye bye for now.